What is going on, everybody? We are back, episode 2 of the Survivor 50 Files, talking Colby Donaldson. And I am here joined by a Survivor legend, a 3-time Survivor, somebody who we all kind of expected to be on season 50. And I can't wait to talk about that. It's Tina. How you doing?
I'm good. How are
Oh
you?
my God. I'm better that you're here. This is fantastic.
Well, Rob must really trust you to hand the wheels over to you.
So let's just, for background for everybody listening, we are recording this minutes after the cast for the Trader season 4 was released. So this is the first time I can talk about it on here. But Rob Cisternino, Tina, your friend from the All-Stars, your friend from Argentina when you went on that trip horseback riding, is going to be back on TV. 20 years, and Rob's on the Traders.
Go, Rob. Go, Rob. I think he'll take it. He is so great. He is so great. If nothing else, he will certainly entertain us.
He's got the good confessionals, Tina. How was your time, while we're here talking about it, how was your time backpacking through on the horses with Rudy and Rob? How was that for you?
Oh, that was his hardest Survivor.
Really?
Rob did not want to be there. He did not. He went kicking and screaming and fighting. And then his horse was carrying the pots and pans, and they were all tied on his horse, and they slid underneath the horse, which made the horse start bucking, which threw Rob off. And I got to see another side of Rob that a lot of people might not get to see. And I didn't mean to laugh, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah, he does not talk about that trip. He talks so highly about the company, but not so much about the actual experience of the horseback riding.
I know.
Which is so funny. Tina, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. So good.
Now tell me, where are you geographically? You're Tennessee?
I am North Carolina, actually. I'm 1 mile over the Tennessee-North Carolina border in the Appalachian Mountain Range. So basically, the Smoky Mountain National Park is on the other side of me. So we're tucked away in the mountains, about an hour and 20 to the closest town, big town. So I'm.
How does grocery shopping work when you're an hour and 20 from away? How often do you go?
I go like once every 2 weeks.
Wow, that's a long drive to go.
I know.
Do you like being that remote? You enjoy it?
I love it.
Tell me about it. What is the things about it that you really like?
Well, here, I'll just show you. How about that?
Show me, please.
So, well, first of all, I'm in nature and I love nature. Have bears. As a matter of fact, last week I was in my hot tub and this bear comes up beside my hot tub, and that was a little exciting. So can you see?
Oh, beautiful. Oh my gosh.
It's a little lake down there, but I
love
just
it.
Live in the woods.
Your house is also a beautiful color, by the way.
Thank
what a
you.
Pretty green, bluish color.
Thank you. And let me show you this. So, whoa, got my outdoor shower, my hot tub.
Love it.
My flowers will be up here in a little bit. And that's where I live.
Tina, can I got a couple of friends who would love to do a little weekend trip in the middle of the mountains there.
I love company.
What a beautiful home. Listen, I'm in New York City, Tina. I'm the most congested you could be. If I throw something in the street, it'll hit 9 people.
Oh, no. Well,
Not
my
that I will.
Which I'm coming to see her next weekend. So if you want to get together, I'll come see you.
Oh, is that right? You're coming to New York?
Yep.
When was the last time you were up here? Recent?
I think maybe for her last birthday, which would have been last June.
And this is Katie. This is the Katie that we all know.
That's the Katie that we know and love.
How is Katie doing?
She's awesome.
Love that. Love that. Oh yeah. Well, listen, we'll definitely talk about that. Okay. Tell me, Tina, about season 50. I'm sure you've seen the cast. Tell me what you're thinking about the group.
Interesting group. I think it'll be a fun season. There's some people that I didn't remember.
Sure.
But I think it'll be a fun season. I think it'll be good. What do you think?
Have you ever? You know what? I think there are concepts of something that are good. I think there's some misses. I think where they missed the most is I would really have liked to seen a couple more people from the era of the show that you were a part of. I think that there are a lot of folks from those first 15 to 20 seasons who really want it to go. And I understand why we have to do like a new era, old school split. But you know what? To have like Penner and to have Jerry and to have these folks like kind of on the cutting room floor, to me is like, because this is, Tina, this is what Rob has been saying on these podcasts, is it's probably the last time. If it was going to happen any other time, it was season 50 to get Penner back. I mean, you've met Penner, I'm sure. Jerry. There are those folks who I think aren't there for folks, which is, again, this is Rob's point. There are folks who are coming that were just on a year ago who can go back in 10 years. 10 years is that distinguishing time period where Penner in 10 years maybe isn't going to want to go, let alone could go. So I would have liked to have seen a couple more people from back in the day. Is there anybody that you thought of when you saw the cast that should have been there but wasn't there?
Me.
Did you want to go? You were in. You were ready to go if they called.
Of course.
I really, Tina, there were these rumors that were going around online of a woman from the Australian Outback, is what all the rumors said. And people thought it was Jerry. People thought it was Elizabeth, which I never bought into that it was Elizabeth. But I thought it was you. The whole time I thought it was you. Up until the cast was released, I thought you were going. So I'm so saddened to hear that you were ready. You were ready to rock and roll.
Always. Yes.
How would you think you would have done here? Let me pull up the group here. I'm not sure if you can see it. How do you think you would have done with this configuration of folks? Is there anybody here that you, as Tina Wesson, would be like, I would love to align with them, or maybe the opposite?
So many people on this cast that I would love to be friends with.
It's a good group. It's a good group that I want to hang with for sure. It's a good party.
I think that they will have fun. That's another thing. There's a few that are uber competitive that, might be there. Like, I am social, but one of the things that I recently said about Survivor, especially whenever I was first cast, is that, okay, they say you're going out here to outwit, outlast, outplay for $1 million. So I'm going into this like I'm going into, some event, some sporting event that I've got to win. So I didn't really get that it's also a television show. And so, I'm even playing the game with the producers because they're asking me questions, but I'm not about to tell them certain things because I don't want them to turn around and interview somebody else with a thought that maybe I've said. So, I am not really a character. I went out there as an athlete wanting to win this challenge, And I played that same way second time. And it wasn't until maybe midway through that third time that I played that this light bulb went off. Then I'm like, oh, this is a television show too. And they really need me to say something. So yeah. I get that maybe whenever the cast is being cast, they're like, I've always said I'm extraordinarily ordinary. I'm not really this character, but certainly a lot of the people that are going back to play, it'll make for a great television show.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, you got a lot of personalities, and you've played with the very big personalities in your time of playing Survivor. Jenna Lewis, one of them, who you did play with also, who's back again, 20 years back in Survivor.
I voted her off first thing. Since she voted me off, she's out of here. I would vote. Boy, she would be on my target.
So it's so funny. So there's 24 people playing Survivor 50. There's 2 winners out of 24 people, which I don't know. The streets, Tina, the streets are saying it probably isn't going to look too good for the 2 winners who are playing. It feels like an easy boot.
I know. Well, and that was one of the things that I had heard, that they weren't going to have any winners back. So then whenever I saw that there were some, I was like, boo-hoo.
That was a lot of the sentiment. I know, again, I'm echoing things that other people have said, but if there were winners that were going to come back, I would have loved to have seen you. I would have loved to have seen Earl from Survivor Fiji, who I'm sure you've met, who just hasn't returned yet. There were I would have liked a little bit more of a balance, but now we have, Dee, who won my season of Survivor, who I love, and I hope wins this one. And then we have Kyle, who I love also, but Kyle won last week. Kyle
Right.
won, and then 6 days later, he's on the plane back to Fiji. So
Right.
it will be an interesting thing.
And kudos to him. Like, I can't imagine, because there's been a few people who have done that, gone, come home, and gone back out to play. It's kind of like childbirth. When you go through it, you're like, okay, I'm done. But then, after a year or two, you forget, and you're like, okay, I can do that again. So the people who do it in 6 days, I have mad respect for.
Oh, for sure. Well, and Kyle, Camilla, and Joe, who were just on season 48, they at least got to watch it. But there's 2 people who filmed season 49. They were home for, I don't want to get it wrong, but I believe 10 days, and they just went back and filmed again, which is, that's a lot. It's a lot of time.
Easy.
You don't even get to decompress in that time. I'm sure, when you get home and you make it that far, you really have to sit with it. They're not even getting the opportunity to do that.
Wow. They get my respect. And I can't believe they're having 3 people back from last season. That seems
3
excessive.
people back.
That's excessive. One of them got my spot.
Tina, the streets are saying that it's pretty excessive. It's an excessive amount of people from season 48 for sure. And we love them, but it's a tough thing. Tell me, Tina, we're here. You are, I believe, the closest bridge to Colby of anybody who's played Survivor. I think you keep in contact the most with Colby than anybody else who's played. So a lot of the Survivor fans who are so excited to see Colby, back this time, the folks that aren't, like, they don't know Colby. Like, they haven't seen Colby. We go to these viewing parties, we go to all this stuff. Colby's been relatively disconnected. So tell me about Colby. Tell me let's start 20 years ago. Tell me your first impression of Colby. You're on his tribe. You see him there. What's that like for you?
Strong male. I'm glad he's on our tribe because, again, I'm coming at it strictly from a competitive warrior mentality. I'm like, great, right there's some brawn for us, And then as things start moving along and we do the challenges, Colby, he has the same mindset as I do. So every time there was a challenge, it was kind of he and I that was like, okay, we'll put this person here and this person needs to be doing that. And Mitchell's tall, so we'll put him over here. So it's he and I that are kind of orchestrating how we should do the challenge. And so I think that's where our bond initially came in, was like, he's a competitor. And so that's how we first got our connection going.
For sure. Then you play 42 days together. You're there the entire time. What I was wondering, just going through clips of Survivor Australian Outback to talk to you and to talk to Rodger, who we're talking to also. Rodger kind of gives up his spot there in the final 5 so Elizabeth can go to that next round, so Elizabeth can potentially win that immunity challenge. Do you think that had anything to do with Colby then doing like the honorable thing in his view of taking you to the final 2 as opposed to Keith? Or do you think Colby's mindset in that moment was shifted somewhere else?
No, we ended up, Colby and I were very close. And we planned pretty early on in the game, he and I, to the end, because we felt as if, we were doing the strategizing for the challenges. And then remember the challenge where standing on the log for so long, and I had to stay up there to protect Keith because I needed Keith to win. And so at that next challenge, well, no, I take that back. I'm sorry. Reverse. Been a long time. So the night that we voted Mitchell out, Keith was supposed to go.
Yes.
That's what Mitchell wanted. And so that's whenever I said, Mitchell, we have to keep Keith. He's a strong male. If we can't advance as a tribe, we can't advance as individuals. And he's like, I made the alliance. I'm sticking to it. And I'm like, okay. So then I hiked my happy butt over to Colby, and I'm like, Colby, this doesn't make sense. We got to keep Keith. He goes, you're right. What do you want to do? I said, let's keep Keith, get rid of Mitchell. And from that point on, that solidified Colby and I. And no matter if I had won that last challenge or he had won it, we were taking the other. So there was never any doubt that we weren't taking each other to the finals. It's kind of like Joe and Eva. They were, no matter what it cost us. Like if I didn't think I could win against Colby, I still was taking him to the end. So, this was back in the day when Survivor was played a little differently. And, I wasn't able to separate life from the game. Whereas now, because I thought that you would get respect if you played honorably. Whereas now you get respect if you've got good game. And so I kind of that was another reason why I would have liked to have gone back, to be able to see if I could get outside of myself and actually be a little more aggressive in my gameplay, to see if I could really do it and play new school style.
You could play new school style. I feel like you had that in the old school also. Like that, I think that's what makes you a great player. And even in Blood versus Water, I think you do quite a bit of that. I think that you have that like gear in you that can get that done. Whereas I think the folks who do play with this honor and integrity, which you just mentioned, Joe, Colby's gonna love Joe. Oh my God, they're gonna get along great, those two. Whereas I think that they're gonna romance.
Love Joe. Let me just tell you, he loves him.
Oh, you know that?
Yes.
Oh, you know.
Yeah.
That. Oh, Tina,
yeah.
I'm so
But we talk about, we watch, and he was like, man, he's my favorite. Actually, he said he's his favorite.
Joe is.
Yeah.
So that's great insight. So Colby, I didn't think that Colby watched Survivor anymore. So Colby's been watching since he got the call to play, or do you think that he's been watching this entire time?
He's been watching.
Wow. So, again, the perception that I've had is that Colby's going to get onto this beach and not have any clue who anybody is.
No, he knows everybody.
Wow. So who do you think is his ideal alliance person a Joe? Somebody who has that same gear that he has, that is very honor and integrity? Or does he need somebody like a you, or like somebody who is a little bit craftier on the strategic side to kind of help him get to where, because Colby, I think Colby's great at what Colby brings to Survivor, but I don't think strategically is his biggest strength in the game. And I think maybe he could use that.
Yeah. So, and we talked a lot about that. Before the cast was announced, he and I were talking, okay, 50's coming up, what do you think? And think we'll get the call. And so we were having conversations before the cast was even announced. And so he was talking about how hard it would be to go back and play in the new school style, but he started studying the game and studying how it's done. And Colby is very meticulous, and he's a student. He will study things really hard. So, and I don't want to give too much away, because
of course not.
I don't know if he would want me to do that, but I will say that there's definitely people that he will align with, if they're on his tribe, that he will have a great opportunity to go far in this game with.
Wow, that's so exciting. This is the best person to talk to. That's crazy. Because Colby has just been so disconnected from the world, which is something that I think everybody's kind of taken note of, is that when he popped up on these cast rumored lists and now the confirmed cast, he's one of the only people that a lot of the folks who are playing haven't met. Like, a lot of these people, just because of the nature of the community, have all met each other, where I think Colby's going in not having had physical FaceTime with any of the folks that he's playing with. Most of them. I know the old school folks he's played with and, been at the parties with and all that. But at least the newer school, even some of the older folks have met the newer school folks.
Yeah. But he hasn't met most all of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hardly any of them. So
that is so funny. So, I mean, we talked about Jenna Lewis, but tell me about the Jenna Lewis situation as it's happening in Survivor All-Stars, which is, it's traumatic. But tell me about, you get there, you see Jenna Lewis. Jenna Lewis immediately is like, we got to get the winners out. Is that something that you had any insight to pre-leaving for Survivor All-Stars? As I know there was some pre-gaming that was going on. Did you have any hint that that was going to be the rhetoric once you got there?
Well, I had actually talked to the producers and said, look, if you don't put all the winners on one tribe, they're just going to vote us off one by one. So I knew that going in and recommended that they do that, which they didn't. So I got to the beach and found out, who was on my tribe. And I was like, oh, crap. I knew Jenna would be gunning for me. But this is kind of a funny thing, too, that I'll share with you. So before you go out and actually start filming, you're at the Ponderosa. Well, I'm playing, my game starts immediately. So we're at Ponderosa, and there's like this, this was in Panama. And so we have this beautiful outdoor sitting area, and I see Rupert. Well, first of all, I saw Rupert at the airport, and I'm like, Rupert, and I'm wanting him to get the feeling that I'm so excited to see him and put off a good vibe just in case we're on the same tribe, so that he'll know that I'm excited to play with him. So then I'm going to get in so much trouble for this. So, but I don't care because I'm not going to 50, so I can spill all the secrets. So we go to this outdoor eating place in Ponderosa, but we can't talk to each other. You're supposed to be, just eat your meal and be at peace. Well, I'm slipping notes to Rupert, and I'm like, okay, Rupert, here are the people that you can trust. Here are the people that you can't trust. So, I'm trying to build trust with Rupert before we even go out there to play. Then we get on the boat going to the island. He is throwing his guts out. He is so sick, just throwing up over the boat. And I'm over there, and I'm wetting his head and trying to make him feel better and doing everything I can. So we get there and we find out, okay, well, I'm going to be with Jenna. I'm going to be with Rudy, who I don't know Rudy at all, but I knew that he played with Jenna, and so he would probably vote with Jenna. So I know that's not good. So Rupert, I'm like, me, Rupert, and Ethan, the three of us could form some kind of alliance. So I'm just like doing everything I can, but he's just not falling for it. So he's voting to vote the winners off too. So that didn't make me happy. All that wasted effort. I should have just let him throw up over the boat and duck his head in the water.
I'm having so much fun. This is so much fun for me. So it surprises me that you didn't know Rudy better, just given that you were the first 2 seasons and you were doing like a media tour. Is it you never had any run-ins with Rudy?
Nope.
Interesting.
Nope.
And going in, you were close, obviously, with Colby and the Australian Outback crew. I guess you knew. Was there anybody on the different tribes that you knew you'd be good with if you met up with them that maybe weren't from Australian Outback?
You'll have to remind. Well, Big Tom was there, right?
Yes, Big Tom was there.
And Big Tom are good friends. So definitely Tom and I would have formed a Southern alliance for sure.
Yeah, he's close to you, I think, geographically-ish, maybe?
Yeah.
He's very funny. Tell me about, obviously, without mentioning names, tell me the qualities that somebody would have to have that would maybe attract Colby to want to align with them on a season 50. Like, what is Colby looking for? Like a dating profile, what is Colby's like checking off for somebody he wants to like go to the end of season 50 with?
Yeah, it would have to be someone competitive. There's not someone like Sari Sari just comes across, says la 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 la, and I don't know how she always wins other than her great personality,
Yes.
but someone who, like, if they come to Colby, especially, if they come to him wanting to play, that's going to help because he doesn't know a lot of these people. So that's one thing. Two, I think he's going to have to rely on a few people that he does know to fill him in on, can this person wants to play with us, but can they be trusted?
Mhm.
You know, just it, somehow, some way, they're going to have to convince him that they're trustworthy. And then, of course, if they're not a good athlete, Colby will probably be like, okay, don't need that. I need someone who's going to be physical in the challenges with me.
Colby, Tina, would have hated me on Survivor. Colby and I, we're not in the same boat in terms of our Survivor strategy, which is funny. You know, I am interested because he's going back with people that he was on a tribe with before. He's got Stephanie and Suri that he both played with. He has Coach, who he didn't play with, but he played next to for a couple days once they hit the merge. Or actually, Coach never made the merge in that season. So I guess he met Coach at Ponderosa, but he does have like people, you know, he's met people. He's met a few people that he's literally traveled to Samoa and played a different season with. And I'm interested in to see the dynamic there.
Yes. And Coach and Stephanie both are the type of people that Colby definitely would align with, because they're of that same mindset, you know.
So tell me, you know, Tina, when he goes back, Colby, for heroes versus villains, like the critique that I've heard about him and that people have said is like he seemed very like tired. Like his first confessional, which I love, is he says he wants to see if he like still has it. And it just felt like in the challenges and even in the camp life, I don't think it was the game that he remembered when he played with you. And I don't think it was the game in All-Star. I don't think his All-Stars experience was all that great either. I'm wondering what changed. Like, I wouldn't have ever thought that Colby would have wanted to go back just after seeing the last time.
Yeah, I think he kind of regrets his headspace where he was and how he came across, and not really giving Survivor the respect that it deserved. So I think that he's coming back to kind of prove something and to really thank Survivor for what it's given him, and to go back to the original Colby. So I think you'll see a different player this time.
I mean, I love to hear that. That's very, you know, storytelling wise, it's a very cool reason to want to go back in, is to kind of redefine this reputation that, you know, I think a lot of the folks that are playing this who have also done the research are going to expect like the tired Colby or the disinterested Colby. And I'm interested to see how he navigates that, because I've been saying the same thing about Colby is, why would he want to go? This isn't like, you know, Keith Nail, RIP, famously said like Survivor isn't fun. Like there's no reason for Colby to want to, other than $1 million, want to go put himself through this again. But I do think the rhetoric of the season being it's a celebration of this franchise that has impacted all of us, that has impacted Colby's entire life. You know what I mean? I understand the reason for wanting to go and kind of reclaim something that maybe wasn't, you know, as flattering before.
Yeah, definitely some redemption there, I think.
That's super cool. Wow. Tell me, are there any of the new era people that are on this cast? And I'll bring it up again here. Are there any of the new era people that you watched at home that you really, really liked that are playing Survivor 50?
Oh, yes.
Tell me everybody.
Joe, of course. Is Charlie considered new era? Because
Charlie's new era.
Yep, I love Emily. I love Aubrey. Love Jonathan. Love Chrissy. Love Christian.
Damn, Tina, you would have been great. This is you're wheeling and dealing already, and they're there.
Well, you know, I just really respect. Let's take Emily. I really like people who come out. It's not their element. You know, Survivor for me, other than the starvation, is not much different than my real life. You know, I mean, I just came off of a camping trip where I didn't shower for 6 days. And so Survivor's not much different. But people who come out there from a total different environment that they've never been in, they've never been camping, they've never been out there, they've never starved, they've never whatever, and come out there and there's a transformative experience that they have, and they find something different inside of them. I love that. I love it. I love it for them. I love it that we get to watch it happen. Like, that's why I watch Survivor. You know, it is a voyeurish type of situation where you're watching people transform, or you're watching them break down, or you're watching them, you know, find a different gear. And, you know, I had a psychology minor, and I just love the psychology of Survivor. So for some of the people who have gone through that, like Emily, I love it.
But Emily is, I got the privilege of being with Emily, in the real time. I got to see Emily the live feeds because I was next to her. But my favorite person to watch on Survivor has always been that fish out of water character, just because you see this show and it's like the Cirie of the Cirie's famously like got up off the couch to play Survivor. Is the Survivor thing? Survivor is everything that they are not, and that is the attractive quality to it, is to see, like, let's see if, like Colby said in that confessional, like, let's see if I got it. Let's see if I can go do it. I think that is like always really good television. What is funny about Emily is I've been making the joke just to people is like, what are Emily and Colby going to talk about? Like, it just seems on paper, I don't know what the similarities are there. I hope they're on the same tribe. I really want to see that conversation happen. But I am curious of how he will integrate himself with the younger crowd, the folks who just are coming off a season a year or two ago. And granted, Joe, I believe, is maybe Colby's age. I mean, they're very close in age, I think. But I'm curious to how he will interact with the folks like Dee, who, for example, like Dee and Colby. I think that is something that I can actually see coming to actuality. Is I think Dee is a kind of person and the kind of player that Colby would want to gravitate to, just in terms of like supreme athletic ability and strategy. I'm wondering how that might work if they're on the same tribe.
Yeah, well, actually, when he and I were talking, one of the things that we were talking about each other's game. And one of the things that we were talking about for him was just that aspect of him not knowing these people. And I'm like, Colby, you're going to have to not wait for people to come to you. You're going to have to go to them. And I would recommend going to the people that you necessarily wouldn't normally align with, and find a place there as well, because, if you've got a bunch of physical threats over here, that can be intimidating. So soften it up a little bit, and have some players over there that, that people wouldn't expect you to align with.
I'm so mad, Tina, you're not on this season. It's the longer I hear you talk about strategy, I'm so bummed you're not there. Tell me about like the process for you. So, there's the season 50 whispers, are you hearing about it as it's happening and wondering like, I'm right here, what more do I need to do?
Yes. Yeah. I tell you, Survivor has given me the absolute greatest gifts in life, and has been something, I mean, it's a great big bow wrapped present that I will have forever and ever for my whole life. But at the same time, it also gives you a few little heartaches too, like Winners at War. I wanted to play Winners at War so bad. And I was a little crybaby that I didn't get to go in that, because they had asked me if I would go back, and I'm like, yes. But then I think Amber wanted to go. So once Amber was there with Rob, of course, that kicked me out. So, and then not getting to play on this season, there are definitely little dings to my heart. But, maybe, okay, so like Winners at War, I'm kind of, after I watched it, I'm like, whew, thank God I didn't go on that season, because I would have got stuck with all the old school players on that crummy island. So I was glad in the end. So I'm like, because I always try to find, well, maybe there's a reason for things. So maybe the weather will be so bad and it'll rain the entire 20 some odd days. And again, I'll be so glad that I didn't get to go.
I hope it for you. I'm so, to hear that you wanted to go too is just, it's what we started talking about, is just like, there are so many people who want to go. They like from that era of the show, that like really the time when the show was the most popular, just with statistically with numbers, it's a tough thing to have people like yourself who really, really wanted to be out there and not go back. Did you happen to see the Elizabeth video that she posted where she
said she wasn't going?
Yeah, but it was very much like, I'm not doing that. Like I would never do that. It was so funny. People really, Tina, were convinced she was going. And I was like, in what world is Elizabeth Hasselbeck returning to Survivor? And I felt very validated that was the correct take.
Well, Elizabeth she played baseball in or softball in college. So she is an athlete as well. And so I was just thinking that, maybe there's a side of her where that competitor would go back. I didn't count her out. I don't know why. I just didn't. But
she does have, I don't know how old her children are, but I know she does have kids, which it is always a cool thing to be like, I'm going to go show my kids that I'm on Survivor. Her kids were not alive during the original run of her on Survivor. So I could definitely have seen a world, but yeah, tough. Is there anybody that from those first couple seasons that you were shocked to not see there? I think I had maybe asked that, but tell me, is there anybody that even you played All-Stars with, somebody that was just notably you thought missing from this group?
Well, you mentioned Penner. Gosh, what a great character he is, and really wish that he was going back, of course.
For sure.
I like like Big Tom. I think Big Tom is just hysterical. You laugh the whole time you're watching him play. So I wish Big Tom was going back.
People threw his name out. I saw Lex too. People were throwing out, bring Lex back.
Yeah.
Sean Rector too, who was on Marquesas. I'm not sure how many times you ran into him, but he was a big name that was rumored that didn't end up going.
And what about the guy? He reminds me of Christian.
Oh, interesting.
The writer.
Oh, Cochran.
Cochran. How about Cochran?
I'm not sure. I think they must have called him. I think that he didn't also was not there for Winners at War. And I have to imagine, I know that Jeff and company definitely love him. I'm sure that he's gotten the invite and maybe just didn't want to partake. But he's somebody that I would have been super interested in seeing again, which is, the critique that the season 50 cast has gotten is they kind of like, they have a couple people from the first 10 seasons and they have a lot of folks from 41 to 50, but it feels like we're missing a middle chunk, which is the Cochran chunk, which is the folks from those 20 seasons. You played in one, you were 27, the folks from that 3 or 4 years, there just isn't anybody from that who's here represented, for the celebration of all 50 seasons. It feels like there's a heavy chunk that's not there.
Yeah, I'd agree. And what about Fair Play, just out of curiosity?
I don't know about Fair Play. I'm not sure. I mean, I do. Fair Play, if you're listening, and I know you are. I don't want to speak on your behalf. I imagine they must have called. Just because, again, like if they're calling, like, the legacy Survivor players that didn't win. I think the winners were a late addition. I don't think that was the plan the whole time.
That's what I heard.
So I think that, if you're calling your Colbys and you're calling your Stephanie LaGrosses, I do think Fair Play is in that conversation, but maybe he just, maybe it didn't pan out as much. I always thought, do you keep up with the Australian Survivor, the edition they do over there?
Oh.
They just did they brought a couple people from the US to play that. Parvati did it. Sari did it. Tony did it. I always thought that because Johnny Fairplay is very vocal in watching that edition of the show. So I thought that maybe they would eventually bring him over there. But they haven't yet. What about, there's all these shows now, Tina, like your Traders and your Deal or No Deal Island. Like, you don't have to suffer anymore. You can go to a resort for a couple weeks and play a fun game. You do challenges. Are you open to doing something like that, or are you just Survivor is the one that keeps you beat?
I would do them. I'm not out there I don't watch television.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, and I don't do a lot of things. I don't go to a lot of events or things like that. So I don't know if maybe people don't know that I would be up for those things, but I definitely would be.
People are watching this, Tina. Your phone's gonna be blowing up shortly. People are calling. Tell me about you mentioned a camping trip. Tell me what the camping trip was. Just a fun camping trip, or was it a structured, like, with an event or something?
Yeah. So every year in the Smokies, the first 2 weeks of June, the fireflies come to this one location and mate. And what that looks like is at about 9:30, you go to this section of forest, and there's hundreds, thousands of fireflies, and they're blinking. And then at about 9:45 or so, they start to sync up. And so they will blink for 6 seconds all together. And then the forest goes completely black for like 6 seconds. And they'll do this for about an hour. And it is the most magical, amazing part of nature. So I've been doing that since I was a young girl.
Wow, you go every year.
Wow. And so I was there for that. And actually, I'm supposed to go back. So that was a 6-day trip. And then I'm supposed to go camping tomorrow at another location, go back to that Elkmont for 3 days, then go to Cades Cove right after that for 2 days, because they have bicycling around this loop with no cars in this beautiful area. So I do that. I camp usually on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at Cades Cove.
Is that like every week you camp Tuesdays and Wednesdays?
Yep.
Wow. Listen, yeah, this is blowing my mind. You gotta get back onto that island. We gotta make some calls. It's not, they're on day 5. We can send you. Like, just, they'll pull somebody out.
Oh gosh.
Maybe. That is super neat. Well, listen, I'm so thrilled that we got to chat. This was so much fun for me.
Yeah.
But it's so exciting. I mean, like I love this show. I love this show so much. So to get to talk to anybody about it, blows my mind, much less Tina, Tina Wesson. This is so much fun for me. So really, thank you so much.
You are so sweet.
Stop it. Listen. Thank you so much. Really, this has been so much fun for me. Is there anything you want to tell people to check out? Anything going on that you want to let people know about?
No.
The answer can be no. It's much funnier when the answer, no. These people that we have on, Tina, they've got 10 different things.
Here in the woods, minding my own business, living my life. So nothing to report here.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Survivor 50 Files. We will be back with another episode next time talking about Stephanie LaGrossa, talking with somebody about Stephanie LaGrossa. We're so excited, and we will see you guys soon. Take care. What is going on, everybody? Brandon Donlon here, back again. The Survivor Files, the Survivor 50 Files, day 2. I am joined by a Survivor legend. Not only somebody who you all watch, somebody that I watch, but somebody that I've gotten the pleasure of spending quite a bit of time with in my life, way pre-Survivor. It's my good friend, Rodger Bingham. Rodger, how are you?
Well, glad to be with you. Most people are surprised that I'm still living. I'm so old now. So it's been almost 25 years. 25 years when I was on Survivor. So, you were probably in diapers at that time.
I believe I might have been. I mean, are you still in diaper? I believe I was 3 years old during your
time. Well, you never know.
You never know. Maybe that's a little too late for diapers. Rodger, how are you? How you doing?
Hey, doing fine. Doing good. Yeah, still living on my farm and doing a little woodworking, and put out 250 walnut trees, and they should be ready to harvest in about 100 years. So, I'm looking forward to that. But
I don't think I'll make it to that. I think we would have to pass that on to somebody.
You know what? If you leave the world a little bit better than you came into it, that's worth a whole lot.
That's the goal. Are you still, Rodger, watching Survivor week to week? Are you still tuning in?
Yes, I still watch it. I still have people ask me out on the street, what do you think of this Survivor? Or what do you think about what happened on the last show? And so, yeah, I still watch them. Now, some of them I've enjoyed a lot more than others. There's been a few of them that I thought maybe some of the people actually came off of the show fatter than what they were when they went on. So,
yeah,
it has.
They do the expedited timeline now. So it's only the 20. You were there for 39 days, right? You were there for quite a while.
42 days. I made it 36. Yeah.
Oh, you were at day 36. Yeah. So now, people, and they win the rewards every couple days. People, they come back a little bit. The pants still fit. Your pants didn't fit.
Oh, Lord, no. I was down to what I was when I played basketball in high school. I was on there 36 days and lost 35 pounds when I was on the show.
And you know what? You spent quite a few of those days, after the merge with Colby. And for us, Colby's kind of a mystery, because Colby, you and I, we would go to these events back in the day. We'd see each other. I've never gotten to meet Colby. I think most people haven't met Colby. So I want to hear from you just a little bit more about his personality, what he's like. Do you remember your first impression of Colby once you saw him?
Well, he seemed to be very, I would say, quiet starting out. And I knew right off the bat he was going to be someone to be reckoned with because he was. Now, as far as catching fish, if my memory serves me correctly, I don't think he'd ever been fishing. He never caught one fish in the Outback. So if he's wanting somebody to feed you while he was on a show like Survivor, he was not the one to do it.
Yeah.
To tell you a little inside story, I was with Colby after Survivor show got done airing in Paramount Parks in Canada. We were up there. It's similar to Kings Island here, huge amusement park. And I got there, and the lady that works for the park said, "Now Colby's coming," and she said, and he's bringing his niece. Well, I'm thinking, yeah, he's bringing his niece, probably his 25-year-old niece or something. But, well, as it turned out, it was his niece. She was a little girl about 10 years old and just as nice, and she had the best time. And so, yeah, Kobe's a nice guy.
That's so nice to, it really is like we've just so many of us who like are in this world with him. We haven't gotten to spend quite a bit of time with him. And you did travel with him, after that second season, you guys are going everywhere together all the time.
Well, yeah, we were together. We were, as far as being, usually I did a lot of things on my own, but we were together there in Canada. And then we were together. I was with him and Tina out in Las Vegas at an event.
What was that event? Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, we were on the TV for the early morning show. And then we were at, wasn't the Bellagio, it was one of the other hotels. And meeting and greeting and signing autographs, all three of us.
Wow. Yeah, you guys were on, like, everybody did the morning show circuit back in the day. Everybody was everywhere. They're not the same as much anymore.
Oh, it was 1,000 times more than I figured, a month or two, it would be over. For a year and a half, I was flying somewhere every weekend. It was crazy. And, but also took advantage of it because I knew it wouldn't last. So, and these were paid events, even though you didn't win the $1 million, you could make some serious money.
They're not paying us anymore, Rodger. We show up to stuff paying anybody, we're
Yeah.
doing it to get our face out there.
Well, if I had to be on a show, that was the second season. That show did have the highest ratings of any of the Survivor shows ever. And so, it was very popular. And for some reason, people were wanting to talk to us. I'm just an old country boy, lives out here in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky. Live on a farm with cattle and used to have a few hogs and some horses. And, then here I am flying all over the United States every weekend. But it was fun. Got to meet a lot of nice people.
Oh, my gosh. Do you know that Colby, I believe, is he on a farm now? Is he farming it up in Texas? Has there been contact there?
I have no idea what he's doing. I think Tina keeps in touch with him. I have not spoken to him since we were in Canada together, and that's been probably 22, 23, 24 years ago. Yeah.
You haven't seen him?
No, I haven't laid eyes on him since. No.
That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, really, like, there are some people who are in this and then they quickly retreat. And then, he did 2 other times on Survivor a couple of times.
Yeah. And
then even after those.
And then he had another show on TV there, Top Shot. Was that what it was called?
Oh, yes. He was doing the shooting show.
Yeah. And I used to watch that all the time. And then he did another one there where they were processing animals. I didn't think much of that show. It didn't stay on very long. I said, what? I said, that's something I've done all my life on the farm, killing hogs, chickens, and killing a beef. And I said, they should add me on there. I got to chop them suckers up.
The show, I'm naive to the show of it's a competition show where you're like killing animals for food to make food out of it?
Yeah, they was processing beefs and the other animals that you normally wouldn't think of. And I thought, well, that was a stupid show. Who's going to...
Even winners,
Colby, it wasn't because of Colby. The idea of the show was just stupid.
Sure. Yeah. Colby's taking the work that he can get. That's the hosting job.
Yeah, as long as it brings in a paycheck.
There was the rumors that were leading up to Survivor 50. Jerry was highly rumored to be out there for Survivor 50. Tina was rumored. I think I saw a couple names be thrown around. Is there anybody that you're surprised didn't make it on Survivor 50? Anybody from back in the day that you thought would be back out there for another try?
No, honestly, there's over 600 of them now. I have trouble keeping them all straight because, time you watch that, and if you watch, I don't watch Big Brother anymore. I used to a little bit, and Amazing Race. I used to watch that. And so, all them people, they all start running together after a while. You look at them and say, well, were they on Survivor or Big Brother or or one of the other reality shows? No, I was a little surprised at some of them that they'd had back on. Had been on 4 or 5 times, to be honest with you. If you've been on there that many times and they haven't won $1 million, why give them another chance?
Yeah, I mean, Cerise round 5,
Yeah.
Ozzy's going back for round 5.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything 5 times, Rodger. They
No.
don't let me do anything more than once.
No, the only thing I do sometimes I try to eat 5 times during the day if I got enough food. But other than that, that's about it.
Yeah, listen, we had some good times back in the day. We had a great time.
Yeah. It was all good. The Survivor experience for me has been very, very pleasant. I got to travel all over the United States and meet a lot of nice people, and so that was a lot of fun. Plus, getting paid to have fun. It doesn't get any better than that.
Not bad. So people are still asking about Survivor on the street. You see people that are asking
Oh,
about it. The current seasons.
Oh yeah. I get asked all the time. What do you think about that challenge? Or it looks like they're living on an exotic island. Now all the time. It's at nighttime. I think it gets down to maybe 70 degrees. That's really roughing it. Wow.
Yeah, you were roughing it. You were maybe the harshest roughing it. I think was you guys in the Africa right after you.
Yeah,
I guess the first couple, the Marquesas too, was bad. But what was the worst? What was the roughest part of being out where you were?
Well, the temperature swings. We were there in part of October, all of November, and then part of December. And it was the rainy season, and it was starting to turn cold. Colby, to give you a little example, had a belt buckle on and that had a little thermometer on it. Well, I'm out there fishing one day, and he comes out there. He never did touch a fishing pole, never did catch fish neither. And but anyway, we looked at the little thermometer he did. And I think it was 110, 111 degrees. Now that's right in the sun. We had some nights where it got down to 34 degrees out there at night. I mean, we like froze to death some nights in the Outback. And then it was raining. And there was a couple of times we came back from tribal council. You had basically 2 changes of clothes. You had one, the set that you had on, in the other set, you better have where it was going to be kept dry someplace. Well, we come back from tribal council soaked. Well, you just had to get in there and change clothes. Everybody just got in there and change clothes. Yourself, you have very little privacy on a show like that. I used to be a very private person, but not so much anymore. It really doesn't bother me.
And you were there during the flood, is that right? It was 5 of you left for the flood?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was there at War Star Camp Away. And if you remember that show, we actually took a hand vote, and I was very adamant about not building our shelter right down next to the river. We built it where there was a huge gully coming down into the river, and I turned them all. They showed a little bit of it, but I was very adamant about not building the shelter there. I turned them all around. I said, sometime or other, people, there's water coming down through this gully into this river. Well, we found out that we actually took a hand vote. They didn't show that part on TV, and we ended up staying there and paid up for it.
Who was the one who was pushing the "we should stay there" narrative? Do you remember who wanted to stay?
It was some of the women, and I think, if my memory serves me correctly, I think it was Jerry.
Sure. Yeah, you know what?
Is that a surprise? No, I don't think so.
We really, I mean, I know a lot of us were really hoping to see Jerry back out there again. And, Jerry is one of the people who's been kind of vocal in that she really wanted to go back for that 4th time.
Yeah, I seen that clip where she'd been a little more than a little bit vocal. Yeah.
Sure.
Last time I seen Jerry, it's been about 10 years ago. I took my grandson to one of the finales. He was 12 years old. We went to Los Angeles, and like to never got a ticket for the thing, but walk in, sat down, and I was sitting right beside her and some guy. I don't remember who she was there with. And so that was neat, get to see her.
And that was the last time that you saw her?
That's the last time I seen her, yeah.
Who are the Survivor folks that you see regularly?
Now, Jerry has been here before, to different events, but that's been before the 10 years ago. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you see from Survivor recently that some people that are in that area with you?
Matt Bischoff.
Yeah.
Matt Bischoff. Tammy's over here giving me directions on what to say. Bless her heart.
She's the best. She's the best.
She is
person
the
ever,
best.
you know?
I'm a lucky guy. Let me tell you what, and I know it too.
You have an agent, Rodger, because I texted her and I said I might need to talk to Rodger for something, and she coordinated. She was she's your booking agent.
Yeah, I had a booking agent, and that woman kept me busy. It was crazy. It was crazy the things that I did for a year and a half, and she did 99% of those bookings for me.
What were your other TV appearances that you did in that time? What other shows did you get to make it to, like late night stuff or
Yeah, I was on
daytime talk show?
David Letterman show. I did the early morning Saturday show. I was on Rosie O'Donnell. And did 3 shows on Hollywood Squares.
Oh, did you do Hollywood Squares? I remember they did the all Survivor Outback version of that. So that
Yeah.
I forgot that you were on that.
Yeah, I was on three different shows. I was in one block there. 2 blocks I was by myself, and then the one block was Elizabeth and myself in the same block. So
it's funny. Elizabeth was rumored to do Survivor 50, and then she made a video like on her phone, and she posted it on her Instagram, and she was pretty much like, "I'm not doing that again. I would never do that again." Was the reaction? She very much was not about it.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't know. I talked to her about 3 years ago. I had a little stint when I was in the hospital, and she called me. It's been about 3 years ago. So other than that, I haven't heard from her.
For sure. Rodger, thank you so much for talking to us. I mean, this is great.
Thank you. I had a great time. I'm
so glad.
You need to come back to Kentucky and Ohio and visit.
Listen, we'll go to the Cracker Barrel. We were
There
doing
you
the
go.
Cracker Barrel for a while there.
I ate there last night. Life is good.
It's better in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. You'll see. Stay tuned next time for the next episode of the Survivor Files. We'll be chatting soon. Take care. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.